Hello, guys. I'm Shane Davis, and I'm here today with the beautiful, lovely, sometimes will make me a sandwich, Yanzi Lynn. And today we're here. We're here holding hands as we are at ground zero, a decimated DC. So let's get into it. A bit of news happened today, right? As we were talking about, AT&T unloaded. They were losing altitude. They had to start throwing things off the plane to not crash into a mountain. So they threw out a lot of stuff, actually. And one of the things that we're really going to focus on here on this here channel, please look down below and subscribe, is what's happening to DC Comics. Now, this has a lot to do with corporations. First off, let me put that out there. Corporations do not care about people. They do not care about the artwork of people. They do not care about you. They care about themselves and whatever profit they can hit. So first, understand that as we navigate through a chain of events. Now, I've had a couple of emails and conversations today from people in the know within the company explaining some of this to me. And actually, we've covered a lot of this on the channel, and that's probably why they reached out to me, but we're going to get down into this. So there's a lot of stuff that got sold off today with AT&T, but we're mainly going to focus on DC Comics. So with DC Comics, there's been a chain of events, wouldn't you say, Yanzi?
Yeah. So let me give a quick overview of what happened. What happened was that AT&T offloaded WarnerMedia, which they spent $85 billion on just 3 years ago. They offloaded it for $43 billion. That's half their money. And what is going to happen is the AT&T will merge this weird WarnerMedia and Discovery. They will just merge and form this new company. AT&T shareholders will get a percentage of the earnings of this new company. AT&T no longer has controls of these assets that they have unloaded, which is WarnerMedia. So what they expect is that this new company is going to be heavily focused on streaming and all those services associated with it, such as Discovery Plus. They are well known for their Discovery Channel stuff, obviously, Food Network, TLC. HBO Max obviously offers HBO and their gigantic library of movies. So look out, whoa, there's a new streaming giant coming, and its name is whatever HBO Max and Discovery Plus comes up to, I guess. Now, where DC in all of these those, dear? I mean, why is DC Power sell off? I mean, it looks like this is a media company, not a publishing company. So why is DC Power the deal?
Because maintaining the publication of DC Comics with these characters actually renews the trademark of these characters and these intellectual properties. And that's why anybody ever really wanted DC Comics to begin with. Because if you bought the publisher, then you bought every character, every copyright of every character, because publication is a way to copyright and trademark an intellectual, an IP, an original idea, whatever. It is a thing. So AT&T obviously didn't care for DC Comics, but there's a chain of events we want to talk about, and there's a business strategy. When you buy a company and you're wanting to sell something, there's something you do, and that's you cut costs drastically within the spending of the company, and then you up the price of the product. And what happens is you basically make it look more profitable than it is. And you look back 6 months, you're like, wow, this company looks like it's making a lot of money. You have to sell it quick at that point. Why? Because eventually the lower quality product will catch up, and you will start to see people leaving the product, basically not buying it, and it'll start to reflect in the books. Now, the way comics work is usually a 3-month ordering system, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. A lot of this first started talking with some people today when COVID, when Diamond shut down, and how DC had to move like fire. I remember talking to Dan Didio, and he was like, well, they always had a contingency plan, but the issue was, why were they using it now? To a way to distribute comics around Diamond Comics. You have to understand Diamond distributes everything in North America and overseas, basically in the direct market, even the UK. Why did they do it now? Because they were getting the company ready to sell, basically. They couldn't sit back and take a couple of months off. In the shutdown, they had to leave Diamond, and which was a whole chain of events on its own we're not going to talk about here. What shortly followed after that is a lot of 3-month events, and we're going to talk about those and why they're important. The reason these events are important, one was Endless Winter, is that these events will kick off with like a #1 issue. There was Endless Winter, DC Future State, so one led into the other, and then there's
Infinite Frontier.
Now, the reason these things are important is these were only lasting 2 or 3 months. And when I was at DC Comics, something drastically changed, and that was that accounting at the company was being done every 3 months. What was happening is they were being basically probed internally by by AT&T to see how to boost the numbers every quarter. And there's an easy way to do this. First, DC Bloodbath, right? Let's get rid of a lot of senior staff. That's a lot of money you're saving within the company right there. Let's get rid of the Dan Didios. Let's get rid of the VPs. Let's get rid of something like 80 odd years of knowing how to make DC Comics. Not just knowing how to make DC Comics, but knowing how to sell DC Comics. Those people don't need you anymore. You had high salaries. Now that's the first step forward to looking more profitable. Another thing Jim Lee said, and Daniel Cherry came in and they said 1/3 of the line isn't profitable. But overall, DC Comics obviously is profitable. As long as I've ever worked in my 20-year career at DC Comics, 1/3 of the line always lost money, whether it was at Vertigo on singles. Not every Vertigo book was a classic. So the company always was losing money in some way or another. Now, or some books were losing money. Overall, they were profitable. Why cut 1/3 of the line, right? Because you're trying again to cut, you're cutting costs. You got to make it look really good to sell it, guys. This brings me back to the mini events. The mini events are littered with number ones. Number ones retailers ordered the highest of. Now, they're cutting rates next on creative. So they cut page rates, they cut contracts, they've already cut staff. And so they end up with cheaper talent. And then guess what happens to make this look more profitable? Prices go up. Prices go up. Now, all of a sudden, it looks like this company costs less to run and profits are higher because one, people are paying more. Two, which is very insidious, a bunch of littered number ones that are spiking the sales every 3 months. And then number three, you fired a lot of the staff and got rid of books that were actually not making a profit. That is what it is. So all of a sudden, basically DC Comics was through nobody really likes some of these things, was shot full of artificial steroids, things that made it look a lot like there's a lot more meat on the bone, like it was supercharged and cost less to run. This sell-off, this trading of the company, we had talked a little bit about on this company that people were going in, looking at DC offices in Burbank. And there was a rumor, and we talked about it in the comic book industry, that somebody was going to license out DC Comics and just buy the comics. And I was like, that's not going to make sense. Why are you going to make a Batman book and every new Batman villain you make, Warner Brothers owns? It doesn't make sense. Nobody's going to do that, right? So here we are today. And this is going to shake up everything as far as comics go. And that's mainly what we're talking about in this video. There's a lot of other things going on in the world and other streaming services, and we'll get into that in another video. But as far as comics go, if DC Comics starts obviously going forward, the word on the street is the line's going to shrink considerably. We're going to talk a handful of issues that this company's even going to bother putting out. And of course, it's easy to do that with team books like JLA. All of a sudden, you don't need an Aquaman book. You don't need a Flash book. You don't need these titles. You just need JLA and have those characters in it, and they stay viable and they're out there for the public to understand who they are and what they do. And you can still sort of loosely develop stories around those characters. Of course, it won't lean so much onto them. What does that mean for the comic book industry? Well, first, the comic book industry is a lot of retailers, and the retailers have been kind of taken for a ride on this already. And they already are having to figure out other things to sell, whether it's old runs and old back issues and whatnot. Now, they're not, the corporations, they don't really care about the art medium stuff. They don't really care about the characters. They don't care about the creators. They sure as shit don't care about retailers. Okay, like retailers weren't alerted that the line's going to go up in price. The retailers weren't alerted to a lot of things. Plus, there was predatory publishing practices that to qualify for a variant cover, you had to order, what was it, Yanzi? Like 250 copies of a book?
Yeah, you had to order an insane amount. And surprise, you don't get it at your retailer discount. You have to buy it at the cover price.
Right. Again, this was another tactic to artificially boost the profit margins of the company for the sell-off. Why this is really catastrophic for comics is Discovery basically has the books. Okay, what I mean is the accounting books for what, like 6 months, maybe 8 months. And they're looking at it and they think that's the DC Comics they bought. Now, these are like a lot of schemes and scams that DC Comics has been running with these mini events and stuff like that, and artificial inflation, whatever, is pumped up. They're going to wonder, why isn't the company turning that type of profit when they start just putting out monthly books? And they're going to drastically cut the line to try to make it profitable, because they weren't really looking at the dollars it's earning. They were looking at the actual profit. Okay, they don't really care if it makes $1 million a year, but it costs $500,000 a year. They would probably rather it cost $250,000 to run and make $750,000. The idea is they're just looking at the profit margin, what spent, what did we keep, and what was gravy on it, basically. So when they inherit DC Comics and they inherit the publication of this, I mean, the company's probably going to first say, why are we even bothering with this? And also they're going to want to make cuts. But see, there's the real problem, making cuts. You've already cut the company down so close to the bone. Is there anything else to cut? Can you cut more staff without cutting titles to a bare minimum? And then at that moment, when the titles are at a bare minimum, why aren't you just handing them off as to Penguin or whoever to publish the 12, 25 books that you're asking for? And the sad truth here is Marvel won't be far behind. See, DC Comics and Marvel Comics, the amount of books they put out is directly tied to them competing for the same type of product, superheroes. So when one starts putting out less superheroes, Marvel's not really going to put out more. They're just going to say, well, we can spend less on comics too, just like DC. And they've always had this competitiveness in them. And this is really going to go down hard and quick in the comic book industry, to be honest. Yanzi, you have anything to add?
I don't really have anything to add because I mean we've seen the writing on the wall for quite a while now. People keep saying that we're doomsaying all that stuff, saying DC Comics was shut down. No, nobody actually said DC Comics was shut down. We said they'll just cut their line. They definitely have fired a lot of their talent, and whichever talents they have on contracts, they're not renewing. I think Tom King is already trying to go off and do his own creator-owned stuff. Brian Michael Bendis. Yeah. Probably their last big contract that they have right now.
Yeah, a lot of writing on the wall. A lot of people can read, and a lot of denial. The comic industry is full, especially comic book Twitter is full of a lot of denial, a lot of scratching heads. So I don't know what to say about it, guys. These are interesting times, and I want to say thank you. Today we hit $111,000 on Starlight Cat's Little Girl Big Adventure Cats in Space, guys. This book's probably going to be up about another month, so please go over, check this book out. Once you get it, you will get updates on when we're going to be shipping this book. I'm excited. Got a little over 10 more pages left to go, like probably about 12. So I'm excited to be giving you guys this here comic book. Also, if you will, but bam, look down below, hit that subscribe button, help the channel out. Share the video. We always love that. And we always love these comments. Leave me a like button and we will catch you guys later with another video. Take care.